right now on the phone, ladies and gentlemen, I have the director of This Is Not Berlin, a fantastic film, Hari Sama. Say hello to everybody, Hari.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent. Now we're here to talk about your fantastic film. It's a Spanish language film called This Is Not Berlin, if you translate it back from Spanish. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes, I'm the director and writer of the film.
You did everything on this film. And can you tell the people who may not be familiar with this film, which played at Sundance, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it while I was there, but I did get to see it now thanks to, Samuel Goldwyn and everybody else, what this film is about?
Well, it's a film about two kids that are growing up in the 80s in Mexico City. The film takes place in 1986, and they're growing up in the suburbs, and they're growing up with a sense of masculinity which is quite aggressive, and they feel very alienated from the real feelings and this and it's a very conservative place, let's say. And at some point, they get thrown into a community of artists. Most of them are LGBTQ, and they find this completely different way of looking at sexuality and art, and well, obviously drugs, and that changes their way of looking at life.
I think that
would be basically it.
I think that one of the things that the audience probably doesn't know about, and I do, I'm a Latin myself, there's a big stigma when it comes to that sort of thing in the Latin society. Everything's very machismo. How much of that was, do you think, worked effectively when it came to writing the script and putting together this narrative?
Well, I grew up like that. I exactly grew up being, my way of looking at my own masculinity was completely different from my surroundings. I grew up in a place in which you had to fist fight all the time, and to be regarded as one of the crowd, another member of the group. And I did not like that at all. I liked dance and flowers and other stuff. And so people like me did not have a real, space or role in the community, and that was very difficult to come to terms with until I found a group that were doing, that really were doing their own identity search in a whole different way, and that opened my eyes and changed me forever. So that very Latino masculinity was very much part of what alienated me or made me feel an outcast in the first years of my life until the teenage years, I guess.
So you would say somewhat that there's a little bit of an autobiographical spin to this film.
Completely. I tried to be very honest. There's a lot of changes that I had to make on the screenplay in order to convey a dramatically structured piece. But let's say the impulses and the deepest, waters in the background of the film are all autobiographical. And I wanted to be very honest to what I felt and what I saw, and having had the first-hand experience on all of those issues, I just felt that was very good raw material to start writing,
Absolutely. I can definitely tell that there's an earnestness and an honesty to everything that you put forward in this film. Everything feels believable. And can you give us a little bit about the performances from your cast? Because you have a ridiculously talented cast here, including, a new Oscar nominee.
Well, it's funny because it's a film about two teenage friends, but then it's a very choral film. There's a lot of actors in the film, and so that made the whole casting process very difficult. I really looked at a lot of different actors from Mexico and was having a hard time with some characters, and so we really looked everywhere. Marina, I knew everyone in this milieu in Mexico knew Marina from theater because she had been more of a theater actress than a I mean, she had done some films, but she was basically very known in the theater, the professional indie, very deep theater in Mexico, and I knew her from that, and so when I was able to make her interested in the film, I was very happy. I just thought she was perfect for the part, and so everyone came from really. Jose Antonio, for instance, and I really think he's a very talented actor who plays Hera. He had never done a film before. He was more in the voice-over business here in Mexico, doing dubbing for films and so forth. He comes from an actor's family, so he had been on set since he was a child, but he had never done a film. So they all came from different places, and I do feel very, very fortunate to have found all of these kids. Jimena Romo playing Hera's sister, she's unbelievably good, and then Mauro playing Nico, and it was a very rich process. We really had a very, very good time preparing the film, and we prepared for almost 2 months. We were doing research and improvising, and doing a lot of work. So happily, we were able to see that in the film.
So the one guy who really floored me was Fabiani Ponce de Leon, who plays the lead in your film, and I thought that his performance just really brought the whole thing together and brought the whole thing home. When you were casting for that particular role, what were you looking for?
Oh, Fabiani, yeah.
Fabiani.
I think I was looking for a certain frailty and alienation, that made him at the same time naive, but then I feel that I was very shy when I was growing up, and it was hard for me to really say, openly who I was, perhaps because I wasn't really sure who I was at some point, and also because I felt very unsure because my role in life was not very clear, having to be the adult in a household when it was not really my time to be an adult. So I was looking a little bit for that, that shy, almost, like lost, sort of naivete. And then I needed him to have the right sort of evolution into which he at the end can feel a lot more secure of his role in the world, and to really become, a stronger and better placed young man. So I needed someone who had I was looking for that natural sense of alienation from yourself, and the capability of moving from there and I thought Fabiani had it. I saw him in a casting, and I felt we could work together and have a very natural performance because he had some of that in a very natural manner always.
I think that you nailed it when you said that. I think that he did nail that alienation that you were looking for, because the film does feel very alienating to the audience. You can kind of see that with him. What about you as a filmmaker? Who are some of your inspirations when you look?
So I guess a big part was of my own, experiences during those years. It was very important for me to convey the 80s are very theatrical, and they're naturally theatrical because that was the nature of what we were looking for and what we were doing. And I find that a lot of films that try to portray the 80s end up being like a sense, sort of like almost like a plastic reinterpretation of the 80s and not the real thing. and they feel very, very theatrical, even more than they were already, and possibly because some of the people that have related to the 80s did not really live the 80s, or they were in a different, world of those 80s. Of course, the 80s are a lot of different things. So I was trying to be truthful and not overdo the theatrical part. I took inspiration from films like I don't know, American Honey, for instance. That they did a very, very incredible work with the camera that really translated as almost a documentary thing, right?
I can totally see where it's more personal and feels very like fly on the wall.
Exactly. Maybe if I work with that sort of filmmaking, and it's a filmmaking style that I really relate to. If I work, from there, I might find like some sort of middle ground in which I will give more earth to the project, if you will, and then I will be able to convey a natural and authentic vision of the 80s, and not its stylized, exaggerated version, right? And that was always in the back of my mind, how to really, bring that to truthfulness.
I think you nailed that sense that you were trying to get. And I think that's what's interesting about this film, is that you had a goal, as we now see, and everything that you're saying to me is exactly what I was feeling when I was watching it. I felt that isolation. I felt that alienation, that confusion about what life is and where we are in all of it. So really, wonderful job here with this, man. This is a wonderful piece. I'm really sad I didn't get to see it at Sundance. And speaking of which, how was that for you, being at Sundance, being at this giant film festival in the middle of Park City?
Oh, that was life-changing. It was really mind-blowing, and the reception of most people at Sundance was unbelievable. We really had only good reviews for a lot of months coming from Sundance and Tribeca. We were just blown away by how a lot of people felt about the film, and how it really conveyed the feelings and the intensity and the whole thing. So it was a life-changing experience, to tell you the truth. Actually, I recently moved to LA, and even if I had planned for that move, the fact that I saw what I saw at Sundance, and people approached me, and the way they approached me and all of that, just made me understood that this was the right time to do such a move. It was really amazing, and and the truth is, I want. There's a lot of more searching to do inside of me regarding this theme that I would love to do in English, and to do in an American production. So I think this is a very good time for me, and it all started at Sundance, no doubt.
I'm really happy to hear that, because this was our first time at that particular festival too, and I agree with you. It's a life-changing experience. So anybody out there who has never been, you have to go. It'll change your life. You nailed that. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert for our review of the film. You're about to get another good review.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I usually don't give it away, but yeah, you're about to get another fantastic glowing review, because this is a film that you just nailed it, man. You just nailed it. I'm going to leave you with this. Why should people want to see this thing? Why should people want to see a movie, a Mexican production that's completely in Spanish, about this kid? Why should they want to see this?
I think something I've realized in showing the film in different countries and different, cultures, specifically in the U.S., I think even if it's a Mexican film, because of where I was and what I was doing at the time and the music I liked, and because we all had our eyes put in New York City. New York City was very important for all of us. You know, everyone was really, there was no social media, obviously, but, you know, everyone had a friend that was in New York, so they would share magazines and they would share letters and pictures of, you know, there's this woman, Jenny Holter, there's this guy, Bill Viola, there's this guy, Herring, there's this guy, you know, all the artists that were doing wonderful stuff in New York, in the U.S., and that they were exhibiting their work in New York, and we felt that there was like a whole thing going on in New York City, and so the film is called This Is Not Berlin, and it should be called This Is Not Berlin, it's not New York City, and it's not London, because that's where we had our thing, and we felt that, oh man, we would love to be there, but we were in Mexico City. Obviously, you know, after some time, we realized that we really needed to find our own thing, and and I think we have done that. And right now, Mexico City is such an interesting place to be. It's a very interesting town. There's a lot going on, but it took some time to get to that point. When we were growing up, we really regarded all those artists outside like our aim. So I think that really the film became very universal because of that, and it's so particular that at the same time it's very universal, because a lot of us went through those feelings of rejection and those identity crises, and I feel the fact that is the community that embraces Carlos and Hera as an LGBTQ community has also a lot to do with what's happening in the world right now. And because the music we were listening to mostly came from the U.S. and England, and Great Britain, it's very universal. So people in the U.S. have really felt it. Like I've spoken with people from Seattle who tell me, well, it was the same thing in Seattle, it was the same thing in Austin, Texas, it was the same. So really, there's a very universal feeling about this, and I think it's a very good moment to think about why we are doing what we're doing. Like, in a way, I think the 80s for younger crowds allow them to rethink why this aesthetic or why this approach to art, because there was still a certain, vanguard in the 80s that it has been lost now completely because there is no more underground, And so it is a good opportunity, I think, to rethink those issues.
I think that's exactly the answer I was looking for. That it doesn't really matter that it's Mexican. That's awesome. I think that the themes are universal, and I think that the themes carry on beyond even the time period and setting of the film. They're universal themes of just realization and existentialism and teenagers. These are all things that any of us can relate to. And I think that this film wonderfully does that. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Esto No Es Berlin is the actual title of the film in Spanish. Check this one out if it opens up near you guys. And is there anything else you want to leave the audience with while we still have you here?
No, thank you. That was a great interview. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
You have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you sharing both your time and this wonderful film with the world. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you so much.